Hello everyone, welcome back to Fanblade. Today we are carrying on carving this neck pocket and then we will do two more of them in the other guitars. This one's got a little bit further to go. Where the neck sits there, it is sitting within a millimetre of the top of where the bridge will sit. Now that's kind of exactly what we want, but we must remember that where the strings are, if we raise this up maybe a millimetre or two, then we've actually got a little bit further to go down there. Which makes sense because this looks like it's sitting up quite high. A lot more than 2 mil, you say? Indeed, I want to drop it about 4 or 5 mil, but then to get that angle back to aim at the top of there, we need to angle it back. So, going to carve a little bit more out of here and with the chisels, and then I'll probably come in with I've got some sandpaper on a stick and just do the very fine adjustments on that, and we will get this neck sitting exactly where it needs to be. Getting really close now. The height is too low, but the angle adjustment that we're about to make will compensate for that, and it's like that much. Over that distance, I need to take off 2 millimeters on one end. I just measured the height of each corner of the fretboard. This one's 1 millimeter higher. So effectively, we're within the millimetre range now for what we're taking out, so I'm going to switch over to the sanding block and just creep up on this because we are getting close. We are getting really, really close. Right, I've done it. It's done. What we have is a neck that is the centre of it is pointing directly at the top of the measurement that we've got there, and it's clearing it by about nothing. If we take the edges of the neck, then they are not clearing it by an even amount on each side. And that's pretty much perfect. The bridge saddles have a height adjustment on them, and compensating for truss rod and other aspects of setup. That's going to be, that's the neck angle we want. That's the height the neck is at. That looks like it's nicely set. It's nicely even, and it's a good tight pocket because I can do that with it, even when there's nothing holding it in. Just like that. That's a good neck pocket. Right. This is a base. It doesn't really look like one yet, but we're getting there. The neck pocket is coming down here, and it's going to be problematic for one very obvious reason. The amount of material that's left on this side is so small, it's just going to splinter off. If I come in with a chisel and start whacking away at that, guess which bit's going to break off? It's not going to be the neck pocket, it's going to be that edge. The other complicating factor is the fact that the grain is actually going that way slightly. So if I attack this with chisels, the likelihood of me losing that edge is about, let's put it roughly in the ballpark of 110%. So I am doing something that I very rarely do. I'm going to use a power tool, and I'm going to use this one, just for getting in that edge. And it's going to be well away from the edge, and then we'll sand back to fit later. Mahogany is reasonably soft, sands easily. It's reasonably soft and it breaks off. This is not foolproof either. I'm putting my chances of success at about 60% versus 0% for the chisels. So we will go with our best odds. Well, that was about as relaxing as sitting on a cactus. I think what I'm going to do is chisel out the front edge, and then I can use the sandpaper block to sand off these edges. I measured the depth of cut, I should have mentioned, was just down to the second tier there. The neck, where the depth that it wants to go to, is exactly the thickness of half of this block of wood. So where we glued the two pieces together, I can just chisel that straight out, and that's not going to be a problem. And yeah, the fact is I'm not finished with that. I've got another one of these bodies to do, so hopefully when we get inside there it hasn't made too big of a mess. We will find out. That took a hell of a lot longer than anybody would really want. I think in the future, if I ever build one of these designs again, a much better way to do it would be to leave these pieces attached. Cut the rest of the body out, but leave these inserts there until I've already carved out the body, because then you can bring the bandsaw up through there, no problem. But that was just a lot of very, very careful work. But the neck fits, and it's not so tight that I'm putting outward pressure on these, but it is tight enough that will sit there. It's just tight enough that there's no sideways movement at all. Not high enough. It needs to go about there, which means I need to bring it back just a few degrees, but that's good. We've got quite a few degrees of play left in the pocket. The height is good, it looks even. We're literally just wanting to do that with the neck. Not even that much, in fact. What does that do? You see, that sends us way high. We want to go about there. About there. Just that little adjustment that I just adjusted out just then, has pretty much done it. those bridge saddles are quite high. They can be adjusted down. Failing that, where the strings are actually going to sit raised up slightly, puts us directly in that saddle there. I would say that's done. I would say that's good. I would say that's 2 down, 1 to go. And number 3, exactly the same concept as the last one. I'm going to come in with the power multi-saw tool freaking whatever it is, and I'm going to cut just inside the lines. I might go a little bit closer to them than I did last time, because sanding that all out was rather more time consuming than one would prefer. I might, just because I'm getting a little bit confident with it, I might even try carving across the front of there. Although we'll see how I feel in about 4 minutes. Alright, that took far too long. Sanding out all of that, just... yeah, whatever. It's been a long day, but we've got them done. 3 neck pockets, necks are straight, the angles are right. For those who are asking, they are all going to be bolt-on necks. It's just a sort of a safer way of guaranteeing that the guitar is going to be playable at the end of it. I don't really rate my carving skills enough to do full dovetail necks. Give me a couple of years of practice at that. Maybe I'll be confident. I have glued a couple in before and they worked all right, but how long for? We don't know. Anyway, that's where we're leaving it for today. Tomorrow I'll be cutting the pickup cavities in all 3, which means I have to decide what pickups I'm going to use. I'll do that overnight. In the meantime, take care, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for subscribing. Wash your hands, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.